Welcome back for another video. In today's video I'll be running through the Gameweek24 team selection, the transfer plans and the thoughts heading into this game week. It's been a busy few days for FPL content, so if you missed the videos on double Gameweek26 or the Gameweek24 captain picks, both will be on screen at the end. If you'd like to follow my team throughout the season, make sure you're subscribed. A quick thank you to the newest Patreons, David and Dan. If you'd like to support me by becoming a patron or a YouTube member, the perks are the same and it includes early access to videos and a private channel on the Discord where I'll give team feedback. Links to both are in the description. Just before we jump in, today's video is sponsored by Spitch, which is a free app on both iOS and Android. A link to the app's at the top of the description. Spitch complements FPL very well. You create a lineup within the budget and you score points based on how they do. What sets it apart is you pick a fresh team every game week, almost like having a wildcard every week, and on top of that you can win cash prizes. You can even join mid-game week, so if you miss the early kickoff you're fine. I love the concept as it's a lot more fun than putting a bet on a game. However, since you can play for money, it's 18 plus only. It also supports the channel, so give it a try and see what you think. Thank you again to Spitch. To download the app, simply hit the link at the top of the description. Enjoy the video. A quick look back at how Gameweek23 went. It felt like the longest game week we've ever had, and an underwhelming conclusion in my case. 30 points all out, which was a really poor score all things considered. Captain King got 3 points across both games, and Dennis got the infamous red card. Double game weeks can bait you in sometimes, but we've seen both sides of the coin this season, with Bruno hauling, and in Game Week 23, Pope of all players scoring 19. However, we've seen the likes of players like King, Dennis, Trossard, Lucas find their way into people's teams, and it goes the opposite way. Trent and CANCELO both conceded, and in Alonso's case he was unexpectedly benched. Jota's assist was the only return in the midfield too, and not a single return from the attackers. As a result, a red arrow to 33rd, but no reason to panic. It is the 4th consecutive red arrow, so a green arrow would be most welcomed in Game Week 24. With that in mind, here's how the team is shaping up for Game Week 24. Ramsdale starts in goal over De Gea, who faces Wolves away. Over the last 4 matches, Wolves are second bottom after Norwich for expected goals, and over the season 16th. Despite missing 5 games in total, Ramsdale is the 3rd top scoring goalkeeper after Edison and Sarr, and no keeper has more than his 10 bonus points. Trent gets the armband as it stands for the home game against Leicester. There's so many good options for captaincy this game week, the likes of Bowen, Cancelo, Jota, Kane, Ronaldo, De Bruyne you could all make the case for. It's easy to overlook defenders, but Trent is the 2nd top scoring player in the game after Salah, and he's hit double digit points on 7 occasions this season. He faces an out of form Leicester side who are still missing Vardy and other important players. Over the season, no player can beat Trent's 8.78 expected assists. In fact, second highest is Mount on 4.87 XA. Cancelo faces Brentford in another standout fixture in Game Week 24. He's on 1 goal and 8 assists over the season, and no defender can match or beat his 12 clean sheets. Cancelo has 6 double-digit returns this season, and Man City lead the way comfortably for expected goals conceded on 15.09 XGC. City are also best for big chances conceded, goal attempts in the box conceded and clean sheets. Dawson starts for the match against Watford, where the bookies are given the Hammers a 42% chance of shutting Watford out, which puts them joint 3rd on the clean sheet odds. Hodgson's first game in charge was goalless, however since we own both Watford strikers it's not an ideal situation with them facing one another. Salah starts for the match against Leicester. In hindsight, holding him was the wrong move as we missed out on Bruno's haul. There's a chance he's not back for this one, depending on the outcome of the African Cup of Nations final. Klopp said in a recent press conference, "I think they will be available for the game versus Leicester. Whichever one wins will probably fly back to their home country for a parade. Whoever wins will be back here Tuesday or Wednesday." So it's reassuring words, but Salah has played a lot of football and several games went on to extra time. The hope is that he'll be back in the starting 11, which would mean he only missed the 2 games, which would lessen the blow. Hopefully the mistake I made with Salah will serve as a useful lesson for everyone else and something to take into future double game weeks and future seasons. Demarai Gray faces Newcastle on the road in Game Week 24, which marks the first game under Lampard at Everton. There is the option to move Gray on for Bruno for a -4 this game week, which we'll discuss more at the end of the video. Everton's next 3 are good fixtures, and there's a possibility of them getting a double Game Week 27 too, depending on the FA Cup results. Liverpool have one of the best double game week fixture pairings we've seen in double game week 26, and tripling up looks essential for it. In our case we've got Jota, Salah and Trent. If you're on a wildcard you could make the case for doubling up with Trent and Robertson instead. However, Jota looks a great pick for the next 3. Before he has a blank game week where moving him on is a possibility. Jota's numbers have dropped off recently, though as we speculated this could happen with Salah and Mane absent over the last couple. New signing Diaz is likely competition for Mane primarily, and it looks like Jota is competing with Firmino more. Bowen gets the vice captaincy, but he looks a very strong captain pick. In the last 6 games he's on 3 goals and 5 assists, and no player has more points. West Ham face Watford this game week for an excellent fixture at home. Watford are the only side who are yet to keep a clean sheet this season, next worst being Newcastle who have 2. Watford's 40 goals conceded is 18th, and they've given up a big chance at a rate of every 40 minutes, which ranks 17th. Rafinha completes the midfield, who's another player with a double game week 26, and he looks an easy hold for us until after the double. Leeds travel to Villa this game week, which won't be an easy game, but he's a star and always looks capable of a return. He picked up a knock over the break, which we'll keep an eye on. Worst case scenario, we've got a couple of options on the bench this game week. King gets the start for the West Ham game. He's been a big disappointment recently, failing to score since game week 13. Him and Dennis were on the chopping block, but will most likely keep hold for double game week 26 unless Hodgson lines up differently and either of them looks out of favour. Although West Ham have been doing well, defensively they've not been great, keeping a single clean sheet in their last 7 games despite a very good run of games. Calvert-Lewin completes the 11, who's another player who's flagged, reportedly suffering a knee injury. We'll be hoping it's not serious enough to rule him out for the Newcastle game, and we'll be hopeful for a new manager bounce under Lampard. In his 3 games since returning from injury in game week 21, he's only amassed 3 points. Everton picked up Van der Beek and Ali in the January window, which should help bolster their attack, as they looked awful going forwards under Benitez. On the bench it's De Gea, Dennis, Alonso and Livramento. Livramento is back in training after his injury, and he started in the FA Cup, which is very good news. Game week 27 looks like an awkward game week, with Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester and Arsenal blanking. If Liver rejoins the starting 11, then he has Norwich at home that game week, which could be an option to start. In terms of transfer plans, it will be dependent on the press conferences. If Calvert-Lewin misses out, then the plan is DCL out for Edouard. If you saw the double game week 26 video, we discussed Edouard and his impressive underlying numbers. His fixtures are good and he has a double game week in 26. This does also leave enough for Gray to Bruno for a -4, though it's hard to justify the hit or say confidently that Bruno outscores Gray by 4, particularly with a reported knock for Bruno. Instead, Bruno could join the team in game week 25 instead. Failing that, the other option being considered is just to roll the transfer. We're aiming to bring in Bruno for double game week 25 and captain him, however we will need to free up 1 mil for this. The easiest way to do this is by downgrading Alonso, but there's no real reason to do it this game week, as there isn't anyone to bring in who looks a better option in game week 24 than Dawson. There's also the unlikely chance of another player picking up an injury or COVID, and therefore they could be the player sacrificed instead to accommodate Bruno. Despite the red arrows, we won't panic, as game week 25 and 26 are the real opportunities on the horizon. This move also gives us an extra starter for blank game week 27 where Spurs face Leeds. It also leaves enough in the bank for Gray to Bruno in game week 25, who would be the captain that week for the double. As always, I'll post my final team on the channel and on Twitter. If you'd like to follow my team throughout the season, make sure you're subscribed. For now, that concludes today's video. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments how your game week 23 went and what your plan is for game week 24. I read every comment, so if you enjoyed the video, let me know.